Welcome to part 2 of my review of the playable characters from Vollos Guide. This week I'm going to be covering the Monstrous Adventurers. Vollos Guide covers several monstrous creatures that are available in the monster manual and gives you the basic stats you need to make them playable characters, basically. It runs through a brief bit, basically, called Why Monstrous Creatures. It's got a thing on called Rare and Mundane, saying you want to question whether you're likely to have multiples of them, so, and how difficult and how much of a challenge role-playing them is going to be. Then goes through the Outcast or Ambassador. Basically, why is your monstrous creature in the realm of the good guys? Friends or enemies? Is it good? How does that work? There's a lot of cool things there. It gives you reasons and why you might play a monstrous creature. With a nice little origin table here, in which we've got options such as you're a spy sent to undermine your enemies from within. You're the victim of a curse or polymorph spell, or an injury or strange event causes you to lose all memories of your past, but occasionally flashes of it return to you. So, weird stuff like that. It goes from the basis of racial traits and the various bits and pieces. You can refer to chapter 1 or sorry, twitching there. Look in the Monstrous Guide for role-playing notes. Obviously, in the beginning chapter, you've got several role-playing notes for including NPCs and weird stuff in monsters, and that will help you role-play them. And then it runs through the stats of the monstrous creatures. We start with Bugbear. Bugbears are one of the larger orc-type creatures. They're big, they're hairy, and they're usually mid-level henchmen. When played as bad guys, they're usually quite brutal, usually quite vicious, and quite animalistic. Bugbear's strength increases by 2 and dex increases by 1, making it quite tasty. Bugbears reach adulthood at the age of 16 and live up to 80. Because bugbears endure a harsh existence, they tend to be chaotic evil. But again, the same with any player character you get to choose. Size, you're between 6 and 8 foot tall and weigh 250 to 350 pounds. Your size is medium, so another not giant but giant creature. Your walking speed is 30 feet. You can see you've got dark vision, so you can see in 60 light. Sorry, you can see in dim light within 60 feet as if it were bright light, and darkness as if it were dim light. You've got long limbed. When you make a melee attack, your reach is 5 feet greater than normal, so that's a long fucking melee attack. So that's quite cool. Powerful build. You count as one size larger when determining your carrying capacity and the weight you can push, drag, or lift. Again, we saw this in the previous episode with Goliath or Feelbog. It's part of the if you want to play a giant creature, but it's not a giant creature kind of ideology they're running with it, which is quite cool. Stealth, you are proficient in the stealth skill. Surprise attack, if you surprise a creature and hit it with an attack on your first turn in combat, that attack deals an extra 2d6 damage to it. You can use this trait only once per combat. That's nothing to be sneezed at, particularly in the earlier levels, but even in the later levels, an extra 2 damage is always good. An extra 12 damage is always pretty amazing. Languages you can speak, you can read and write Common and Goblin. So bugbears, as you can see, quite big, quite meaty, quite cool. Next we have goblins, because why not? For anyone who doesn't know, goblins are small, sneaky, vicious little creatures. Again, a common bad guy, usually encountered in the lower levels. They're kind of a level 1 to level 2 bad guy. You might encounter 1 or 2 of those guys. Will give a party a reasonable combat before they die or run away. Ability score, your dex is increased by 2 and your con by 1. So they're quite tough creatures. We can already see how that could prove useful. Goblins reach adulthood at the age of 8 and live up to 60. But they make up for their short lifespans by breeding a lot. There are always hordes of goblins. You never tend to find one. Goblins are typically neutral evil, as they care only for their own needs. A few goblins might tend towards good or neutrality, but only rarely. Goblins between 3 and 4 foot tall, so the opposite here. But in this one, your size counts as small, so you are going to have all the disadvantages and advantages of a small size. Your speed is 30 feet. You've got dark vision, same as the previous one. Fury of the Small. When you damage a creature with an attack or spell, and the creature's size is larger than yours, you can cause an attack or spell to deal extra damage to the creature. The extra damage equals your level. Once you use this trait, you can't use it again until you finish a long or short rest. So not as reusable as Bugbear's trait, but more reliable. It's always going to be 1 damage or 2 damage or 3 damage or 10 damage, depending on what your level. So it's going to be solid and has the potential to go up to 20 if you're playing a level 20 goblin character. Nimble, you can take the disengage or hide action as a bonus action on each of your turns, and you can read, write and speak goblin, so that's fairly cool as well. You'll have to forgive the throat, there's something going around the family. Next up we have hobgoblins. Hobgoblins are basically bigger goblins. They tend to be more bullying and more cruel. They tend to hang around with things like goblins and kobolds so they can bully them. Kind of a level 3 or level 4 bad guy you're going to encounter, or henchman. Or if you're a low level party like level 1 or 2, they might be the main bad guy you encounter after having killed a bunch of goblins. So it's quite cool there. With these ones, your con increases by 2, making them very tough, and your intelligence increases by 1. Again, we can see that the type of classes that lends itself to. Hobgoblins mature the same rate as humans. Hobgoblin society is built on fidelity to a rigid, unforgiving code of conduct. As such, they tend towards lawful evil. Hobgoblins are very, very militaristic. They form armies, they form things like that. Whilst they can be the kind of thing that bullies and controls larger creatures, when they're not doing that, hobgoblins are highly disciplined, varying from myth and legend. You're between 5 and 6 foot tall, so human size, weigh up between 150 and 200 pounds. Again, well-built human. And size is medium. Base speed 30 feet and dark vision as standard. Martial training. You're proficient with 2 martial weapons of your choice and light armor. Saving face. Hobgoblins are careful not to show weakness in front of their allies, fear of losing status. If you miss an attack or fail with an ability check or saving throw, you can gain a bonus to the roll equal to the number of allies you can see within 30 feet of you, to a maximum of 5. Once you use this trait, you can't use it again until you finish a long rest. So, if you fail, you get the chance to try and force a success as long as you're within a maximum of 5 and you've got enough allies to rank you up. If you haven't got enough allies to rank you up, you still fail. It doesn't matter. You don't get to use the ability. But you get 1 extra success because basically you're embarrassed. Hobgoblins can speak, read, and write Common and Goblin. Again, another cool species, fairly straightforward, fairly easy, fairly nasty. Kobolds are all familiar with the little kobolds. Used to be furry dog-like creatures, and they're now kind of dragon-like small reptiles. Kobolds tend to be small, tend to be cowardly, but they tend to end up acting as the henchmen or minions for other larger, more powerful creatures. You could easily expect to see a goblin, a bugbear, or an orc, sorry, gunk in my eyes, controlling a horde of hobgoblins and telling them what to do. Your dex increases by 2, and your strength is reduced by 2. It's quite interesting to see the differences in bonuses and things like that you get. They've tried to balance it out. You don't have what you used to have in 3rd ed, which is the effective class levels. What you are tends to be balanced out, but it's certainly something that, as a DM, you need to watch out for, that you don't end up with a character that's over weak or over strong, and throws your campaign off. An easy way to do this is to go for a higher level or mid-level campaign, as a lot of these bonuses, they're good on the first level, but they have fewer effects as time goes on. Or rather, the impact of their effect isn't as effective when you've got more bigger, powerful things that you've developed. Alignment, kobolds are fundamentally selfish, making them evil. But their reliance on the strength of their group makes them tend towards law. Yeah, basically they need numbers to achieve anything. So if they were chaotic and backstabbing, they just get slaughtered. However, it's well known that kobolds are also scared, so if you can get one by himself, they'll usually betray their friends without much thought. Kobolds are between 2 and 3 feet tall, so tiny weeny, and their size is small, weighing between 25 and 35 pounds. Speed is 30 feet, dark vision as standard. Grovel, cower, and beg. As an action, on your turn, you can cower pathetically to distract nearby foes. Until the end of your next turn, your allies gain advantage on attack rolls against enemies of within 10 feet of you that can see. Once you distract again, you can't use it until you finish a long or short rest. Pack tactics. You have advantage on all attack rolls against the creature if at least one of your allies is within 5 feet of the creature and the ally isn't incapacitated. It's worth noting, when you combine that with grovel and beg, it can be quite nasty. I ran a campaign which was entitled The Wrong Party, which was made up of basically a bunch of kobold adventurers. I expected them to be weak and struggle. They actually did rather well because they made good use of the grovel and beg and pack tactics. It was a lot of fun, but the party tended to kill each other quite quickly. They worked together until something went wrong, and then they just acted like arseholes. It was the funnest campaign ever. Never got to finish it. It was a bit of a shame. Anyway, sunlight sensitivity. You have disadvantage on attack rolls and on wisdom perception checks that rely on sight when you, the target of your attack, or whatever you're trying to perceive, is in direct sunlight. They're cave-dwelling creatures. They're troglodyte-ish. So they much prefer to work at dusk, in the dark, or in caves. So that's quite cool as well. Yeah. Bandals. Orcs. We've got the classic orc. They're big, they're strong, they're nasty. If you don't want to play a half orc, you want to play a proper one. I think we all know the orc. They're the archetypal thug, brutal monster, and horde creature. Oh, random picture here, just because it helps. Get it up. That there is a goblin. That there, I think that's a goblin anyway. And that there is a hobgoblin. So that's quite nifty. That's what those guys look like, and they're quite vicious and scary. Anyway, your orc character has the following racial traits. Ability score. Your strength is increased by 2. Your con is increased by 1, but your intelligence is reduced by 2. We can see the orcs are quite straightforward, brutal weapons. You can try and counter that if you like, or you can play along to type with that. Random hair. It's actually written in the background that one of the reasons that orcs crossbreed and seek to crossbreed is to try and get intelligent tacticians in and amongst the tribe. Which quite happily says if you've got a half orc and an orc in your group, they should get on reasonably well. There's no reason not to. Alignment. Orcs are vicious raiders who believe that the world should be theirs. They also respect strength above all else and believe that the strong must bully the weak to ensure that weakness does not spread like a disease. So they're usually chaotic evil. That's fairly easy to play, fairly fun to play. You can play against type, or you can play that they're just good from their perspective. There's lots of ways to roleplay an orc, and you can get a lot from doing it. Sorry, I've had a stressful day. I'm twitching like buggery. Aggressive. Size. Orcs usually over 6 foot tall, weigh between 230 and 280 pounds. So bigger than humans, but not that massive. It's worth noting that in several editions of D&D, including starting I think with second ed, half orcs were actually taller and bigger than orcs. Whether that carries on is up to you, but both orcs and half orcs are huge. Speed is 30 feet, dark vision is standard. Aggressive. As a bonus action, you can move up to your speed towards an enemy of your choice that you can see or hear. You must end the move closer to the enemy than you started. So you get 2 moves in every, and that's not there's no limit on that. That's not must use it once in combat or must use a rest. You can literally just go boom and be in contact with any enemy really quickly. Menacing. You're trained in the intimidation skill, or you're just an orc, so you're proficient in it. Powerful build. You count as one size larger when determining your carry capacity, weight, or drag. Orcs are fucking huge. They're not giant size, but certainly they are massively strong and massively big. Whilst background-wise, they might be a little smaller than, for example, Goliaths. Strength-wise, a Goliath is strength +2, con +1. An orc is strength +2, con +1. They're shorter, but they're going to go toe-to-toe with something like a Goliath, and that's quite worth noticing. Finally, we have Yuan-Ti purebloods. If you're not sure what Yuan-Ti are, they're snake people. There's several types of Yuan-Ti snake person. There's the ones that have slithering snake undersides, the bottom half. There's the ones that have snake and reptilian heads. And then there's purebloods, who are the humanoid and human-looking ones, but with snake eyes and slight reptilian features. Or at least that's what I think, and maybe I'm wrong. Your charisma, Yuan-Ti's in charisma. Sorry guys, tired. Your charisma score is increased by 2 and your intelligence by 1. So we can see these are very social, very smart creatures. You can play them as warriors, but the purebloods tend to be the rulers of Yuan-Ti society, and that's quite reflected there. They mature at the same rate as humans and live just as long. Yuan-Ti purebloods are devoid of emotion and see others as tools to manipulate. They care little for law and chaos and are typically neutral evil. It's quite easy to adapt that to being good or true neutral. If a Yuan-Ti pureblood sees the logic in following a different set of morals, he might switch over or she might switch over just because she can see there are advantages to it. And there are supposed advantages to most set of morals, whether they're good or bad. Base walking speed is 30. Dark vision is standard. And innate spellcasting. You know, the poison spray cantrip. I've always run that as you can spray poison from your mouth, but it is a cantrip nonetheless. You can cast Animal Friendship an unlimited number of times with this trait, but you can only target snakes with it. So they've got parcel tongue. Sweet. If you're looking to play Voldemort, these guys are the guys that look like Voldemort as well, by the way. Starting at the 3rd level, you can also cast Suggestion. Once you cast it, you can't do it again until you finish a long rest. Charisma is your spellcasting ability for all these spells. I'm not sure how you can charismatically spray poison, but apparently you can. Magic resistance. You have advantage on saving throws against spells and other magical effects, which is nice. Poison immunity. You're immune to poisons and the poison condition, which makes sense. And languages. You can speak, read, and write Common and Draconic. Also, the last thing it has here is where are we? A random height and weight chart. It tells you what the rough heights for the creatures are, and it lists the average heights and the average weight here, but then it gives you some potential dice rolls. For example, and it goes through from everything from Azmar to Yuan Ti. An Azmar has a height modifier of it doesn't give you an average height, it gives you a base height and a base weight. So you've got your average heights in the stats. That gives you a base height. So an Azmar will start off 4'8", and then you roll 2d10 and add the result. So you could end up 4'10", a tiny Azmar. Same with Yuan Ti. Bugbear start 6 foot. Orc start 5'4". Fearbog start 6'2", and Goliath start 6'2". With Fearbog rolling plus 2d12, and Bugbear rolling plus 2d12, so they're quite big, and Goliath rolling plus 2d10. So, in theory, Fearbog and a Bugbear. Sorry, in theory, a Fearbog can be bigger than a Goliath. A Bugbear can be the same height. It depends how well the dice rolls go, basically. Okay, I hope you guys enjoyed that. Sadly, this is going to be the last D&D video I do. I like doing them, but I'm kind of running out of things I can do that I think other people might be interested in. A lot of it's kind of esoteric, weird stuff that I like. And not very many people are watching them. I hope the guys that did watch them, I hope you enjoyed them. But I'm going to call it quits so that I can devote time to other videos, because I just keep wanting to do other things as well. So goodbye, good luck, and I hope you enjoy the other videos on this channel. Bye. Hi guys, hope you enjoyed that video, and if you did, remember to like and subscribe to my channel. I'm also on Facebook and Twitter. Not sure why, but I am. So if you like it, see me there, and please tell your friends. Thanks very much. Bye.